afternoon, everybody. It's 2:30, so we will commence the Washoe County Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting of Tuesday, March 1st. Item 1 is call to order. Denise, can you please call the roll? Or how do we do that? I'm sorry.
Call to order in the agenda.
I called to order.
Yes.
Do you want to
Denise,
call
I
the
think we're
roll?
waiting for you to call the roll,
Call the roll. Sorry.
if you would, please.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Jennifer Oliver,
Present.
Chris Nenzel,
Here.
Heidi Anderson,
Present.
Stephanie Chen,
Present.
Maxwell DiNatale. Doesn't appear to be here. Doug Doolittle,
Here.
Nicholas Martin Kearney, Darla Lee. She is not here today. And Lisa Rode is also not here today. And we still have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 2 is Pledge of Allegiance. Nick, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is public comment. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay. Moving on to item 4, approval of the agenda for the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting of March 1st, 2022. Do we have any changes or anything to the agenda?
Move to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? No. Motion passes. Item 5, approval of the minutes for the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission meeting of February 1st, 2022 for possible action. Do we have any public comment?
No public comment.
Move to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Item 6, election of the Open Space and Regional Parks Commission Chair and, if necessary, election of Vice Chair for a term of April 5th, 2022 through January 6th, 2023. And again, this is for possible action. Yes.
I would like to nominate Chris Nensel for chair.
Well, as that will vacate the vice chair position, I will return the favor and nominate Doug Doolittle for vice chair.
Okay. I will second both. Can I second those? Can I second?
Yes, you're still a commissioner as of this meeting, so yes.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes.
Congratulations, Doug.
Congratulations, Chris. Item 7, acknowledgement and recognition of park operations staff for their outstanding service and contributions to WASH. We don't have any today. Thank you, Colleen. Item 8, presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to approve Reno Tennis Club's proposal to establish concessions at the Washoe Tennis Center and charge $5 per player fees to all non-RTC member users with multiple time slots available for play each day. Hello, Colleen.
Can you hear me? There we go. Good afternoon, Chair Nensel, commissioners and staff. For the record, Colleen Wallace-Barnum, Park Operations Superintendent. I'm here today to discuss with you a proposal that the Reno Tennis Club has come forward with. That is to provide some concessions at the Washoe Tennis Center. My portion of the presentation today will just really kind of tee up our current agreement with the Reno Tennis Club and the goals, some of the goals that we want to achieve. And then I will turn over the presentation to some board members from Reno Tennis Club that are here today, and they will provide some details of their proposal. So let me go through this. Okay, I'm clicking, but no such luck. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay, thank you. So some goals for today, again, just to provide some background of the current agreement, that they're here today to provide the proposal. We would like feedback from this commission on the proposal, and if supportive, to provide some direction to staff to negotiate a new agreement with the Reno Tennis Club to provide concessions. So the current agreement was entered into on February 25th, 2020. And it's a 3-year agreement with 2 1-year renewals. So we're under the current agreement as it is. Right now, RTC is responsible for maintaining the facilities and expending at least $3,000 annually towards the maintenance, repairs, and improvements. And you'll see in their portion of the slideshow what they currently support. It's far above $3,000 annually. So right now, they are responsible for mowing the turf area, for cleaning shower stalls, for cleaning restrooms, and picking up litter and removing trash. And then 2 days a week, Washoe County Park staff, they take care of restrooms, trash removal, litter, and then we provide the paper supplies for the restrooms. So in exchange for that maintenance and upkeep, RTC has the ability to use the premises for their functions and league play. They can schedule no more than 5 courts. So there's a total of 6 courts at the Washoe Tennis Center, and they can schedule league play on no more than 5 courts. So one is always available to the public. And then any other league that would come forward to us wanting to do an event out there could only ever have 3 courts. And it's only 3 days a week that they're allowed to do that. They are supposed to get a hold of us about 15 days in advance before any scheduling. So what's before you here on this slide is an example of annually what type of league play they do. And they typically will let me know via email what desired events they might want to do out there. It's pretty rare if they ever want to use all of the courts. But anyway, that's currently what we have the agreement with them for. And the general public, again, can access one of the tennis courts at all times. And those are for the non-RTC members. And like I said, unless the county provides the ability for RTC to do a function that would take all 6 courts. And like I said, that happens from time to time, but not very often. So again, the proceeds allocated annually is $3,000. That's what our agreement requires. And any improvement that they do over $1,000 needs to be approved in writing by the county. They can construct buildings, structures, additions, and fixtures, but again, needs to be approved in writing. And they can also have a tennis professional provide lessons for members. So at this time, I'd like to welcome the members of the Reno Tennis Club. So come on up. We have Ray Woolley, Carol Trenton, and Jim Crumple. And they are going to provide their presentation to you and their proposal. And just so you're aware, they were very gracious when they came to me. We've been talking about this probably for a couple of years now. I had asked them to put this in the framework of an unsolicited proposal, which they went through and provided me that document. So here is their presentation.
Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is where the courts are located. If you haven't played tennis there or golfed at the Washoe County Golf Course, it's down inside the golf course. Really nice little setting. We were founded in 1923, we're pretty sure. and nobody can confirm that. But we have some old signs hanging up that said, founded in 1923. And we started at Wingfield Park downtown. That's where the original Reno Tennis Club was. Basically maintain the courts and the best, we have best courts in town. Cleanest, just a nice place. Our proposal is to do $5 a day for non-members. And we're hoping that this will increase membership. Because for the $120 for a whole year, if you played often, it would be more than worth it. So we resurfaced 2 courts every year in rotation. And like we said, we have 6 courts. These are the cost of what it's been since 2015. Some of the improvements we've done. This is a hitting wall that we erected. We had an individual that we used to have an old wooden wall there, and it blew down. And then one individual came up to me and said that he learned when he was a kid, learned how to play tennis by hitting against the wall. And he said if we were to match his donation, he would donate the money towards building a new wall. So we decided to do that, but we wanted to make sure that if we did it right. And if you can't really see it too well, but it's by far the nicest hitting wall for sure anywhere around here and maybe anywhere. And it's just really, really nice. And it gets used all the time. We also had an old deck, and that was the red one up in the left-hand corner. It was kind of a safety issue. It was really falling apart. I don't even know how long it'd been there. But we tore it down. Same thing, someone stepped up and gave us a donation, a big donation, and then a couple other people helped out. So we ended up pouring concrete, doing a new 2-layer deck, and then we had the pergola built over the top of it. And that's for viewing the court 1, which is the main court. We've some other things that we've done. We're installing cabanas on each one. We improved the drainage, courtside benches and chairs. And up in the left-hand corner, we planted some arborvitaes along one of the fences and as it would grow, it would provide a windbreak. The Washoe County Sheriff's Department supplied the labor with the inmates, and they dug the 44 holes to plant those arborvitaes. They're all about 8 feet tall now, so they provide a real good windbreak from coming across from the west. And the inmates say they always like coming to our courts to work because Carol buys them donuts. Oops. Not working. These are just some of the improvements that we've done, some of the money that we've spent. The county did assist us in procuring an $8,500 USTA grant. They did a lot of the paperwork for us, so that was really good. Average budget, income, operating expenses. If you guys need me to go back, say so. And you can see the trend. Infrastructure, equipment, maintenance, repair, and replacement, tennis nets, windscreens, blower to clean the courts. Some of the things that Washoe County's done for us is they repaved the parking lot, painted new lines a couple years ago, helped with the irrigation. They do the paper supplies for the bathrooms, repair of vandalism. We had a pretty bad homeless problem there, and one time the homeless came into the men's restroom, ripped the receptacle off the wall, laid it on the ground, put some sticks in there, lit a fire, and tried to cook bacon on top of the metal receptacle. It was still there when I showed up in the morning, and I guess it was a failed attempt. And it smelled really bad like smoke, so the bathroom had to be repaired. We also had to cap off the showers. We have some pretty nice bathrooms with showers for people to take a shower, and we had to cap those off because it got word out that with the homeless community that this was a good place to go, and it just became terrible because they just left it in a complete mess. If they were just to come and take a shower, that would be a different situation. So right now we have them capped off so that they can't be used. Future major infrastructures that we may need to redo the courts as the trees are coming underneath the courts and kind of bubbling up, and there may be a time where we have to go in and rip out that asphalt, cut those roots away from the big trees, mature trees, and then redo the courts. Or we may have to do something with the fences. These courts are been there so long and they're so old that a normal fence is 10 feet around a tennis court, and now they're about 8.5, 9 feet. So they're getting shorter and shorter as we keep doing asphalt overlays over the top of it. Some of the improvements we'd like to do, maybe some lights someday. We'd like to get some web cameras for security purposes, and then also have it on our website where someone could just take a look on the website and see what the condition of the courts are at the time, see if there's snow or wet or whatever the case may be, instead of calling me. And we have a couple more cabanas that we'd like to purchase and some landscaping improvements and maybe a court reservation system. And then I think I'm going to turn this over to Jim right now for the second part of this.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Good afternoon, I'm Jim Campbell, former board member. And as, if our proposal goes forward, these are some of the things we're going to be doing here. Like a trailhead, we want to utilize an Iron Ranger because we basically don't have staff on court to collect fees, and so it's a voluntary thing. We want to put a change management plan into place to make sure that these changes get understood by both our members and non-members, and ultimately use some of our board members and normal members as well as park rangers if necessary to make sure the changes stick, if you will. The monetary aspects of this is just an estimate. It's our brainstorming estimate, if you will. We're looking at 7,000, a little plus in additional revenue. with an estimated 50 new members. You'll see the membership chart in a minute. And that'll go towards basic maintenance, which you can see up there. A lot of these things in the last bullet, the sub-bullets, are done today by volunteers. Virtually all of them done by volunteers. But our volunteer force is aging, and we're having difficulty recruiting new folks to pick those things up. Ultimately, to sustain the operation of the facility, we're going to have to probably contract some of this out. Maybe not all of it, but certainly some of it. We want to put a change management plan in place because people generally resist change. And, most of the time it's nobody told me. So we've got just a high-level outline here for you to look at. And we're going to, hit this pretty hard as far as communication goes, enlist our members, educate them on what we want, why we want it, why it's good for them, and utilize them as, to assist us in educating the non-members as they come out. And of course, we'll have signs and placards and probably a pamphlet to hand out to, new people that show up to have them understand why this is a pay-for-play facility. This is our membership trend. After 2013, we experienced a pretty steep decline. Then Lake Ridge in 2019 announced they were closing, or they were up for sale and potentially closing, and we experienced a good spike as people left Lake Ridge and came to us, and a lot of them joined, but a lot of them didn't. And of course, COVID hit in 2020, and that dropped everything off. In 2021, we're back again, or we were back again to roughly where we were in 2019. So we may have a good jump up in our membership, but we need more. There's many, many players out there that are not members, and since we're we're maintaining the facility through our volunteer memberships, we'd like to be able to increase that. So these are your unsolicited proposal criteria. I'm going to go through these one at a time. We really feel that we have a unique situation at the Washoe Tennis Center with the Reno Tennis Center managing those courts. We've got a long-standing relationship with Washoe Parks and also with the local tennis community. You ask just about anybody in town where the best tennis courts are, and that's their answer is Reno Tennis Club. We think it's an innovative way, our proposal, an innovative way to maintain and sustain the operation of the facility. We're aligned very well with your objectives, your master plan goals, and some of the alternative and sustainable funding sources you're looking for. We think this fits very well. Benefits, this is very cost effective for the county. And, we've done well over time managing the facility like this, and we think it's quite viable type of operation. So see in a minute. Now, with closure of Lake Ridge, of course, we experienced that jump up in membership, but we also experienced a greater jump up in the number of people playing. And to continue to provide the support for the Washoe Tennis Center, our proposal is going to drive that. That's the need that's out there. And as far as the county is concerned, we're providing basically everything today, and as far as running the facility and maintaining it and improving it, it'll allow you to provide other facilities with funds that may be gone to this if we had not, if we don't continue our operation, if we don't sustain it. And its feasibility, there are a number of facilities that have pay for play throughout the country and some locally here as well. We think it's a reasonable funding mechanism for even public courts. This is the local tennis club pay for play fees. You got the Reno Tennis Center over on Plumas, Reno City Courts, and South Reno Club uses the Bishop Minogue High School courts. Collin Club is private. They, of course, are very expensive at $99 a month. And then there's us, we're down at $120, even though we increased all our memberships. We have seniors, juniors, and regular adults by $20 this year. And of course, we propose that we get $5 a day from non-members. And these are other examples. There are many others, but these are some examples we took of other facilities that pay for play. The only one up there that would compete with us as far as a fee of $5 a day is the city of Albuquerque. Everybody else is probably double or triple their pay for play fees. Our path forward, as this gets assessed, and if choose to go forward and assign staff to this, we'll obviously work very closely with staff to make sure that this comes to fruition. And if you wanted to play tennis in Reno or even watch tennis, this is our idyllic setting that we have out there. It's quite a nice facility. Any other questions? Any questions?
Thank you. Do you have any
Certainly.
questions? Yes, Doug.
Yes.
First, I have a statement, then I have a lot of questions, but I'll try to keep it simple. First, thank you very much for all that you've done for tennis in Reno. You guys and ladies have done an excellent job making those the best courts in Reno. You really have. And it's been a long process, and if you started now, way to go for the people that were. So
Right.
I think those courts are excellent courts. The questions I have, though, relate to my first, whether I was in this role or a previous role, my main comment is availability to non-members, availability to the general public, because all taxpayers feed into these courts to some degree. And I want to make certain that if the agreement states what that availability is. How many hours a day will they be excluded? And pretty clearly define them so that the public knows when they can come there and when they can't. I know you mentioned earlier about a court reservation system. It's, when people pay, they're going to expect more than they get now, I would think. I've seen that happen in a lot of different tennis clubs. I've also seen a lot of problems with reservation systems, checkerboarding and doing all kinds of different things to monopolize a single court for a whole day.
Yep.
And so I would want to make certain that you have in the agreement some way that that is managed, so that there is no checkerboarding. So a foursome cannot come there and hold a court for the whole day because they have it under 4 different names in the foursome. So that being said, the questions now. Is league play, are you considering league play a USTA event, or is that?
It's a USTA event, yeah.
Okay. So any USTA event would not include or would include your club championships or club tournaments?
It wouldn't include any of those, yeah.
Okay, but those are what you would consider play as well, that you would be able to capture as a block on the courts?
Correct. Those would be RTC events, socials and other events we typically have that, we'll use 4 courts, may use 6 at times, but we would continue to get previous approval from the county.
Okay. But what do you consider your membership capacity? What limit are you, what are you shooting for? And beyond that, you just cannot take any more members because of lack of courts or lack of parking?
I don't think parking is an issue. Lack of courts is something that's
That's an issue.
possibility, certainly a possibility at certain times of day, definitely. We don't have any precise number on that. It varies widely from week to week, day to day, depending on weather and other things.
I guess
How many people are actually trying to use the courts at any given time?
And I guess what I'm asking is that if you create more membership by charging fees to encourage people to join, because $120 a year is pretty cheap compared to the other entities that are charging fees. So if you encourage that membership, at what level are you going to cap it, or are you?
Well, we don't have any plans to cap it right now. We were just trying to increase or to get paid for some of the people that play there for free right now. A lot of these people that came from Lake Ridge, they paid at Lake Ridge, whatever, they're $125 a month or whatever, and then they came over and they go, well, this place is free. And so why should we play?
Right.
And I think a lot of people have that, back when I first joined the club, it was $35. And when I first came there to play, and somebody said, well, you should probably be a member if you're gonna play here. And I go, okay. And that was just how it was. And I think it was just an honor and integrity kind of thing. And it's not that way anymore. And so we would just, I don't think we want to punish people, but the people that come there and play for free all the time, we would like to see them contribute to the upkeep, and this would be a way to do it. And if they had to pay $5 a day and they played there 5 days a week, well, it certainly would be feasible for them to just pay the membership dues. So we don't, when we put this together, we weren't thinking that we were gonna get so many members that it would blow us out of of how it would work.
Well, my only concern and comment was maybe you should think about that, because there is a capacity. 6 courts is,
Right.
there's an issue there, and I appreciate what you both said in terms of communication, getting the message out, talking to people all the time, because I hearken back to times when there were disagreements on court use, and charging fees is going to take that up a notch, or could. I'm not saying it will, but it could. And I just want to have some kind of image in everybody's minds, well, how far can we take it?
Right.
The last thing I'll say, and then I'll be quiet. The use of Armed Rangers, great, but I don't like the idea that, in a statement one of you made, and I can't remember which one, that park rangers might be there to help enforce that. I don't see that the staff resources should be used in that way. That's just me, because staff resources are very thin now and haven't been used in that way at that facility ever before that I can recall. And I'd hate to see those staff resources get into money collection at that facility.
No,
That's-
it wouldn't be anything like money collection. And park rangers have assisted us on several occasions in the past
When
couple of
we've had
years.
homeless things,
Right.
or
Like that,
somebody ran,
Yeah.
those kind of things. And they respond really quick, because they're so close. But we very rarely use them.
Right.
I would like to not have to rely on something like that. And as I've been talking to Jim about this, he thinks and I talked to Colleen too, and she mentioned that, if you have a problem with one of those persons, you just tell them, hey, just go ahead and play for free this time, and then, next time you come out, you're gonna have to know that it will be $5, and then we would give them a pamphlet, and so they know why they're paying the $5.
They would also point out the other free courts in the county and city.
Yeah, and I find that to be very reasonable. And I don't mean to imply that the park rangers would be used to collect the money. I'm saying the disagreements that may occur because of the money collection
Yes.
is something new.
This is actually one of my biggest fears about this, is this initial change, especially the first month.
First 6 months, in my opinion, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've just, the world is getting very contentious.
Yes.
And even our small world here, and I'm very cognizant of the fact that the Rangers have a terribly hard job to do out there, to begin with, all the county parks that we have. And I don't want to divert them from doing other things if it's a money issue.
Right.
No, it'd have to be some kind of extreme circumstance for them to get involved.
I think that's it for me.
And on your comment about the reservation system, I've looked into that, and I've experienced that. I've traveled around the country a lot, and there are a lot of complications, as you know, with some of those systems, and checkerboarding, as you called it, can be quite common. And so any system we come up with would have to prevent that. For instance, you may have a limit of individual playing a matter of, just to use an example, 4 hours a week. They're limited to that. I played in a club that had 5 courts up in Washington State, and we were limited to 3 hours a week. And you could have reservations. I would reserve a court. I would have to provide names of the other 3 players. And if those 3 players are already playing, one of them is already playing three hours that week, he was out. So those are the types of things that have to be considered.
Yeah, and I'm well aware of the issues that come up with that. I helped develop a reservation system up at the Incline Village Courts over 30 years ago, and it was a nightmare to begin with. So I understand the difficulty in doing so, but I think all those things have to be considered. My main issue, again, is availability to the public that's not a member.
Yeah.
Not that, I just want to make certain that they're not going to be squeezed out.
Sure. Prior to 2013, or up to 2013, we had up to 320, roughly 320 members. We're at 275 right now. You know, to me, 50 is a bit of a stretch perhaps. But if we were to hit 50, I don't think that would really cause any real issues that they didn't have back, 10 years ago.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, commissioners?
Yeah, I would just say that I would, I guess, feel better about the proposal if I knew the reservation system was in place, functional, tested, so on and so forth first. Because if you're trying to encourage new membership by asking someone to essentially donate $5 for their time, instead of donating the $5, become a member, then you're gonna have more members contending for courts, and that's gonna create some perhaps issues from that. And without a cap on your membership, you could very easily have a weekend with 20 or 30 new members expecting or wanting to get court time in addition to your current members, and have those new members who've now paid their membership fees be disappointed in having done so because there's no room on the courts.
I personally don't like the reservation. I've been objected to that, and so I'm kind of a little bit neutral on how that would work, or if it would work for us. But even now, when you come out there on a Saturday morning and you go out there to play, and the waiting list is, you've got 12 names on the board, and all the courts are full. There's people that come out there and wanting to play, and it's a beautiful day, and you see what our courts look like, and, they choose to go someplace else. That's just how those courts are. It depends on what day it is, and what the weather's like, and time of day. And then you'll go out there on a Tuesday, because people like to play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then you have the weekend group. But you go out there on a Tuesday and there'll be nobody there. So it's a little bit tricky, but I have some reservations on the reservations, yeah. Reservations on the reservations.
I saw where that was going.
What? Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Couple other things. So with the Iron Ranger and also concessions, with your mention of the homeless problem, I wonder if you considered what you might find inside the Iron Ranger and what you might not find in your concession system on a given day.
We haven't thought about that,
That is a good point.
but that's a little scary.
Yeah. So if were you planning on a mobile concession system, or is it going to be a fixed in place sort of vending system, did you think?
Well, it'd be a combination of the two.
Okay.
So you'd have, for instance, Venmo, Zelle, PayPal options, as well as a envelope such as a Trailhead. You could put $5 in or a check or whatever, put it in the Iron Ranger.
Sure. All right, that's, I think, what I had.
Thank you. Anyone on
It's-
Zoom? Any
It's
questions?
not without problems. We know
No,
that.
everything is rife with problems, but I think if you consider all the potential
Yeah,
problems when you're
we've
considering a solution,
Tossed this
you'll,
around for a long time.
yeah, I understand.
Thank you.
I do have a quick question.
Yes, Heidi.
Thank you. So I'm just wondering if you've considered any scholarship options for someone who could not afford a membership, but this is their closest or most convenient court that they can get to.
We have, right now, we have, our fee structure is, so you're talking about teens and younger people?
Well, I think it could vary. I mean, that could be seniors, that could be, I think there's a large group of people that could hit.
Well, we have a fee structure, and seniors are cheaper, and juniors are
Much cheaper.
really cheap. So it's $30 for a whole year for juniors. And we don't have a lot of younger people playing there, and I'm not really sure why, but we do have some, and they also participate in some of the things that we do. But it's a lot of grown-ups play there, and a lot of elderly people, a lot of retired people play there.
Speak for yourself.
Thank you for the information. I would love to see some kind of scholarship opportunity, especially because they were free previously. So someone who's going there to play there because it was free, and now all of a sudden that opportunity has been taken away from them because they can't afford it. Even if it's just, come talk to us and we'll see how we can help type of thing. That's just something I personally would love to see.
Yeah, that's something we hadn't thought about, but it appears to be something that we should take into consideration. So Heidi, thank you for that thought.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. What's your time frame, or what anticipated time frame ideally for you for this implementation?
I don't think we've been trying to put this together for quite a while, and then we've been trying to get in to see you guys for a couple of months. So we haven't really set up a time frame, but we're anxious because we're just now starting to come into the season, and the weather's just starting to change, and it's starting to become
Right.
tennis weather. And then Indian Wells is going to start in a week, and everybody gets fired up when tennis is on TV.
Thank you. Yes, Doug?
The
Oh, sorry.
time frame, in my view, is going to be more than 6 months before it's
Okay.
fully operational.
Right.
A lot of that time is going to go into educating members and developing strategies for educating people that are basically walk-ins, if you will. And so I have a longer time frame than Ray does.
Right, yeah, okay. Go ahead, Doug.
Curiosity, do you schedule courts now, hour time slots for singles, hour and a half for doubles, or how do you schedule them now?
It's just 1 hour.
1 hour?
If no one's waiting, you can continue to play
So
on the court. But
on the
it's
busy
1
days,
for
1 hour.
Singles and doubles, yeah.
Okay.
Busy day, yes, 1 hour. It's first come, first served, basically sign up on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I have a question and just a clarification. So the Reno Tennis Club is the nonprofit that services out of the Washoe Tennis Center?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Follow my confusion.
Okay,
In Washoe County, right?
correct.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if there's an opportunity here, as you're going to pay for play, to rebrand. A thought. As you're moving ahead, looking at the future, if you're going to be charging, if you're going to go a little bit more digital, a little more electronic, and then to broaden your membership base, which you're also trying to do, I'm wondering if a change to Washoe Tennis Center servicing Washoe County, because when I hear Reno Tennis Club, I think this, not this. And Reno Sparks, I'm just thinking more open, more inclusive, just the way my meandering brain goes, so just a thought. And then,
Interesting.
what was the other I saw?
We also have a little conflict because we're called the Reno Tennis Club, and the courts on Plymouth Street are called Reno Tennis Center. So that's a little,
And my brain is, that's too much, like my.
yeah. We
a
hadn't
thought.
thought about that, but,
And
An
then-
interesting idea.
yeah.
The other, my sister is in a wheelchair, and I'm heard USTA. Could you explain what that is? And is the USTA the adaptive tennis
USTA is the United States Tennis Association.
So my question then is, if somebody like my sister who wants to play adaptive tennis at your club, can she?
Absolutely.
And
We used to have a tournament, a wheelchair tournament there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just the other issue or other concern that I'm always having. Where can I take my sister? And I don't know
Absolutely.
enough about Reno Tennis Club, so that's my questions. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, the club has very good access to courts.
To the courts, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions?
I have a question for staff.
Okay.
Relative to any motions, you don't have an agreement in place, right? An amended agreement in place. So that would have to come back for a finalization of this particular venture that they want to go down, right?
For the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum, Park Operations Superintendent, yes, we would love to come back to this board with either an amendment or a new agreement, should the commission feel that this is a concept that we want to move forward with Reno Tennis Club.
So there's no plan right now to go to the Board of County Commissioners next week, next month?
No.
Until you have an agreement in,
Correct, slightly preemptive on the
okay.
wording, but yes, we would prefer to just get comment feedback and then come back to this commission with either an amendment to the current agreement or a new agreement.
Okay. Thank you.
So thank you for the feedback.
Okay. Do you have what you need, or do we need a motion? Do you have what you need?
We have everything we
Okay,
need,
great.
yes.
Thank
And
you,
if there's
Sam.
no other comments, we'll take all of the comments that you provided into consideration, and we will move forward from here.
Great. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
all.
Thanks for your time and the
Yes.
opportunity and your consideration.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming. Okay. That brings us to item 9, Park Program of the Month, Sports League Field Use 2022 updates.
Okay, for the record, Colleen Wallace Barnum, Park Operations Superintendent, I have the pleasure to introduce Shane Weckerly to you all. Shane is our recreation coordinator. He began in March of 2020, believe it or not. And so he started in the midst of when everything was not normal. So kind of glad to be presenting this to you all in the midst of what appears to be hopefully a normal sports season. So Shane, welcome.
Welcome, Shane.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Again, my name is Shane Weckerly. I'm the Recreation Coordinator for Washoe County Parks. I, as Colleen was saying, have been in the position since March of 2020. It was actually a very interesting date. The day that I officially started was the day that Governor Sisolak actually shut down the state. So that was, it was a good start. So I kind of wanted to go over obviously our sports updates and that kind of stuff. You will see that there's a slide that comes up in regards to COVID towards the end and kind of how we got through it when it comes to our sports leagues and those kind of things. So, Washoe County Fields host a variety of both adult and youth sports. We have adult and senior soccer. We have youth soccer, baseball, softball. We have lacrosse teams as well as football and cheerleading that utilize our fields. Actually, we had cricket last year too. Washoe County has over 40 permittable fields that are in use 2 seasons. The first one actually starting today, March 1st, and it goes through June 30th. The second season is our fall season, which is July 1st through October 31st. Currently, we have 19 different sports organizations that are utilizing the fields for the spring season. With that, Washoe County Fields approximately see 443 teams between those 19 organizations and approximately 7,400 players. With our field statistics, in case you guys are not aware of the fields that we do have, there are fields in 15 of our Washoe County parks, 4 combination baseball and flat fields. We have 4 T-ball fields, 5 regulation baseball fields, We have 17 youth baseball fields, and then we have 20 flat soccer fields. Along with regular season play, we also host several tournaments throughout the year. Those numbers are not included in the number of players that we permit. Typically, we see an additional 5,000 people that come out for the tournaments. A lot of those coming from places outside of the area, so California, Utah, some Vegas players that'll come up and compete against the teams here. Sports camps are also permitted. We have one coming up actually this spring. The demand on Washoe County fields definitely continues to grow year over year as the population of the county grows. Each season, we are definitely seeing numerous field requests, and we see field requests that have to be denied due to the lack of space to accommodate all requests. To kind of give you guys an example, South Valley's Regional Park is an extremely popular park for our leagues. And we will typically see between 5 and 7 organizations per field requesting the space on the same day. Sports field permitting with Washoe County is as inclusive as we absolutely can make it. Field allocations are given out based on the size and need of the organization. As long as an organization meets our permit application requirements, every organization is given space, even if it's not the entire amount of space that they are requesting. So we do work with every organization. We do have some organizations that will request every field in Washoe County. Obviously, we are not able to provide that. We do break it down based on needs in different areas. And then multiple requests for the same field location typically goes to the organization that historically has held that field over previous seasons. Washoe County sports versus like City of Reno, City of Sparks sports. Both cities actually have adult leagues run by the city. This includes registration, scheduling, and staffing officials. Both cities also have youth sports associations that handle the field permitting and scheduling for youth sports. That would look like, for instance, if you want to play softball at one of the cities, you can actually bring a team of your own into the city. You register as a team, and then the city puts you on the schedule. The city actually has the referees and those kind of things. Washoe County does not run any leagues or staff officials at any of the fields. That's all done by the organizations that permit with us. Our responsibility is just to provide the space and then the permits for each of those fields. League responsibilities. At the beginning of each year, the annual league meeting is held. The last 2 years, we've actually done that by Zoom and have seen actually better response to the Zoom meeting than we did in previous years with in person. And we go over the application process, the requirements for league play. The league will then fill out their application prior to each season. A refundable deposit is given to the Parks Department. An insurance certificate with Washoe County listed as an additionally insured it needs to be provided. And a per player fee and rosters must be submitted at the end of each season before the refundable deposit is returned to the leagues. Leagues are also responsible for providing care of their own equipment. So the leagues will provide goals, posts, nets, storage box or lockers, bases, mounds, anything obviously that they need for their league play. The county does not provide any equipment for the sports league use. Also portable bathrooms for park spaces that don't actually have restroom facilities. It is the responsibility of the leagues to provide portables. Unless with the parks that do actually have the restroom facilities, once those are open and dewinterized in April, depending on freezing, then obviously those restrooms are in use and the portables at those parks can actually be taken away. And leagues are permitted on the fields with lighting, are responsible for utility costs for that field. If multiple leagues utilize that field, then the leagues split the cost of the utilities. So if we have one main group that obviously uses a field 5 days a week, they would obviously take care of the majority of the utility costs, and then the other costs would go to whatever other organizations utilize the same field. Concession agreements. We have 4 county parks that have concession agreements, concession buildings, I should say, available for league use. North Valley's regional, South Valley's regional, Lemon Valley, as well as Eagle Canyon. A concession agreement is provided to the sports leagues that want to sell food concessions, in which a percentage of those sales will then come back to the county. This was the slide that we were starting to talk about with COVID recovery. 2020, obviously the sports season took a serious hit when it came to COVID-19, kind of gripping our area. The regulations on the youth sports and organizations, adult sports as well, but really on the youth sports is where it seemed to hit, were pretty big. And they were announced and changed almost on a weekly basis. This was it was a great opportunity in one way to really get to know the organizations that operate within Washoe County. I had a lot of weekly communication with a lot of these groups because we were having to do a lot of state mandated paperwork. We were having to work with organizations that we had not typically worked with in the past in order to get regulations met. And so working with people at the state health department level and different committees and that kind of stuff to ensure that obviously play was safe, that the 6-foot social distancing when players were not on the field was being met. Groups were not allowed to utilize the same snack coolers. They were not allowed to bring out like group snacks. Everybody had to bring their own. And at different times, spectators either had to be 6 feet apart or spectators were not allowed. And so it was a lot of changes. And as we kind of went through the ebbs and flow of the COVID pandemic, sometimes we'd have spectators allowed to come back, and then the next week they were not allowed to be there. So we really were communicating quite a bit. And it gave a really good opportunity for the county to get to know the organizations that permit our fields. We did have some organizations that decided at that time to go ahead and completely cancel their sports seasons. The majority of those have come back. And we are happy to report that sports have definitely returned to our pre-COVID numbers. I think we really kind of had a surge with some of our organizations actually because the opportunity for kids to get back outside and to be able to do organized activities it became huge. And so I think a lot of our organizations actually saw a really strong increase in the number of registrations that they had once we started coming out of the pandemic requirements. Questions?
Thank you, Shane. Go ahead, Doug.
First, Shane, welcome, congratulations.
Thank you.
That was an excellent report.
Thank you.
Really good job. A question, then a comment. Sports teams that you work with have priority use of the fields, is that correct, as they're scheduled?
So every year we have, like I said, our annual meeting.
Mm-hmm.
After that annual meeting, then we have each group do their application. We take all of those applications at a deadline. At the time of that deadline, we put everything into a database and start to see, where we have, open spaces and that kind of stuff. We will give priority to groups that, potentially have worked with us for, 20 years, that have like historically held a certain time slot on a certain field over that, expanse of time. However, what we saw, especially with the city of Reno over the last couple of years, is that they have had to do some repairs to some of their parks. They've had to shut down some of their fields, and so 2 just in the North Valleys alone, not to mention Governor's Bowl. And the city came to us and requested that we move their organizations from those fields onto ours. So, we did. I wouldn't say it was priority, but we absolutely made space for those groups, which meant that some of our longer standing groups had to give up some space.
Okay, my question, thank you for that information. My question is this. If a group meets with you and you schedule out time slots, they have the priority use during those time slots of the fields, correct?
Yes, so once the permit goes out, they have those fields from the, like today would be the start of the season, and they would have that same time slot all the way through the end of the season, which would be June 30th.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that question is when I went through the minutes, I saw a comment, public comment about the pilot program, off-leash dogs, at South Valleys, and a concern by an individual that he couldn't use the fields because they were being used by too many sports teams. So I want to make certain that everybody understands that the teams that are scheduled have priority use, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
thank
we
you.
do, even with the current season of our sports starting, we have adjusted the field times for the off-leash area to match, and that is actually listed on the signs at the parks, so that the public is aware that, you know, the sports, I believe the time ends at like 2, the sports permits start at 4 PM, and so we give ourselves some time in between.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. I'm curious, when you're, I guess, doing the annual plan for field availability for various leagues, do you take into account demand for particular activity as it relates to, I guess, historical reservations? So in other words, if there's a 70% increase in, say, requests from lacrosse leagues for field space, and they want it at specific times, it might perhaps, I guess, conflict with a team that might want to do something else that's had that field for 25 years.
Sure.
How do you resolve that? I'm just curious.
A great example with that, in fact, lacrosse, we have a lot of the high school lacrosse teams that have started to utilize our fields because the Washoe County school fields are not as available. Galena, for instance, will utilize the field at a certain time. I've pushed back the permits of another organization so that Galena can have the field for 2 hours, and then the other sports organization comes in right after and has the rest of the evening. So we basically, you know, they requested, let's say, from, you know, 3 to 8 p.m. We allotted them 5 to 8 p.m. and let the lacrosse take the earlier time, because obviously high school sports are, you know, specific practice times.
Thank you.
Any questions from Stephanie, Heidi, or Max? No? Okay. Thank you so much, Shane.
Thank you.
For all your work.
Great presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Now we're moving on to item 10, which is park reports, park district reports, May Center, volunteer, park planning, and golf report.
Okay, hello. For the record, Colleen Wallace-Barnum, Park Operations Superintendent. Wanted to just make sure you know that we won't have a May Center report until we fill that horticultural position. So, you know, right now they have the suite exhibit. So all of you should have in front of you a pass, a family pass. And then it also just, you know, gives you some dates and times for when the exhibit's there. So please come and enjoy the exhibit while it's here. May 15th is the final day. And then I wanted to make sure I added, Shane that's just one of his jobs. So he does field permitting in the kind of the winter leading into spring. And then he's also responsible for all of our aquatics facilities. For contract classes for the county, so any type of recreation classes that are community centers, and then also the Coming from the Cold series at Bartley Ranch Park. So he has got his plate full. Oh, and the Hawkins Amphitheater. How could I forget that? Yes, he supervises there's one staff person who manages the theater, and he oversees that. And in the wintertime, obviously communicates with groups that may want to view the facility or, you know, have conversations before that person's hired. So yeah, he's got his hands full. Just wanted to briefly highlight, we do have the Coming from the Cold music series. It's every Saturday evening, 7 p.m. Attendance has been increasing since what variant is it? It was the Omicron variant has, you know, the numbers have gone down. So the numbers of our Coming from the Cold participation have increased. We also have the Gardening in Nevada series at Bartley Ranch Park on Tuesday evenings, and that's done with a cooperative agreement with, UNR's Cooperative Extension. And they, those numbers are like 70 to 90 people. So lots of people out there wanting to learn how to garden. And then we started a ranger hike series. The first one was at North Valleys Regional Park. Luckily, it was before the snow hit. It was a beautiful weekend, and we had some nice participation, and they'll be doing those monthly, and hopefully we'll continue those throughout the remainder of the year. And that's really all I had to highlight. Does anybody need any information from the volunteer report, golf report, planning report? Any highlights you want to talk about?
I just had a quick question about the ranger hike. Those rotate, right, from throughout the county parks?
Yes, yes. So the
Every
next
month.
one, I believe, is at Sun Valley Regional Park.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Any questions?
Go ahead.
Just a general question, how's the budget going?
It's in budget's hands, but I'll let Eric give updates on that.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you,
other-
Colleen.
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Item 11, Director's Report, to include updates on Board of County Commissioners' actions, future meeting locations, commissioner field trips, community sponsorship requests, department updates, and community partnerships. Thank you, Mr. Crump.
Good afternoon. For the record, Eric Crump with Washoe County's Community Services Department, and Assistant County Manager Dave Solaro had to leave to go to a budget meeting. So just a quick couple of updates, some action items that the board took that this commission had seen priorly. On February 8th, the Board of County Commissioners approved the special event agreement for the Battle Axe and Tracks, which came here, so we're excited to see that this September at Rancho San Rafael. And then they also accepted some donations in the sum of $2,262 from various business and organizations that we take typically on a quarterly basis. And then to Doolittle's question about budget. So we had provided a budget update in what was going to be submitted to budget. I'm proud to say that all of that kind of passed through. We made the deadlines to budget, so the manager's office is in budget meetings almost daily, and we're anxious to see what might come out of that. So no news right now, but usually when it comes to budget, no news is good news. So we'll keep you posted. Any questions?
No, I think so. We're good. Thank you, Eric. All right, Commissioners' requests for future agenda items. This is item 12. I'll start with Commissioner Anderson. Do you have any?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Chen?
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Di Natale?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay. Then we'll go over here. Commissioner?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Chair Nenzel? Doug? No? Okay. All right.
I'm tired of talking.
Tired of talking. All right. Item 13, public comment. Do we have any public? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Hi, for the record, Eric Crump. I can say it under public comment or the other one. I just wanted to invite, I realized when I walked down here up on the second floor of Building A, they've put the posters, it's park-related posters, gives a great history of our community parks throughout the area. So our meeting's running pretty short, so if you have a few minutes, I encourage you to walk up and walk down the hallway, and you can learn a whole bunch of stuff about the history of our parks. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional public comment?
No public comment.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, to the extent that the commissioners do go look at the posters together, I recommend not to engage in a quorum discussion regarding parks matters.
Thank you.
Thank you for the reminder.
Keeping us legally sound. All right. Okay, hearing no public comment, item 13 is, or 14 is adjournment. We are adjourned.